What's up? What's up, everybody out there? It's your man, Governor Wildstar. Hey, and welcome to the Black Side of Liberty with your man, Governor Wildstar. Appreciate all of you for tuning in for this very special episode. I will be introducing my guest, the congressional candidate, Joe Collins, very shortly. But first, I have a few announcements to let you guys know about before we continue. First and foremost, the reopen protests, they have been working. So continue to apply pressure to your representatives, because here in California, we've been protesting nonstop, almost what it seems like it's been every day throughout the state, from Sacramento to San Diego to Huntington Beach to Los Angeles. And there's been protests. And just recently, I attended a protest in Los Angeles where the mayor had initially extended the stay-home order until August, but now has since reduced that and will start opening businesses immediately. This is exclusionary of a specific sorts of businesses like barbershops and salons, that sort of a deal, but it is working. So continue to apply pressure on your local officials, because these reopening protests are definitely working. So continue to be active and stay out there and stay involved, okay? Also, all of you people out there that have been donating, I appreciate all of the contributions, because I've been able to continue to make videos like these and others, but I would definitely like to make more. I would love to start doing some traveling. I would have, flown out to Minneapolis to get involved in those protests out there. But of course, all of that costs. So if you want to help contribute to the cause, please visit my website, governorwildstar.com. Click on donate and contribute whatever you can. And of course, be sure to subscribe to the Governor Wildstar channel where you are right now, and share and tell a friend so we can help build this audience. We need millions and millions of people to hear this message and hear about how we, the people, can come together to advance liberty wherever we are. So to all of you out there that are watching, of course, do what you do. Drop a comment, say hi, a question, whatever the case. We're going to post those during the broadcast, like my man Morley B. He says, hey, Governor Wildstar, what's up, Morley B? Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. But with no further ado, I would like to bring in my guest, Mr. Joe Collins, who is running for Congress out there in Los Angeles. What's up with you, Joe, and welcome to the Black Side of Liberty.
What's up, Governor Wildstar? How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you, brother, man, and I appreciate you for being here in the neighborhood. Pardon me, Morley B. She says she's a female. All right, my bad, Morley. We got some ladies watching the show too, Mr. Collins. And if you could just introduce yourself to the people out there, because I know who you are, but they don't know who the hell you are. So please tell them, who is Joe Collins?
I am a U.S. Navy veteran from South Central Los Angeles. I'm running for Congress against Maxine Waters in California 43rd District. I'm also a Black Republican too, almost like the unicorn of California. Yep. Yeah.
But you're definitely one of a kind, that's for sure. And to be running against Maxine Waters, of all people, she's been in her congressional seat, it seems like her entire life. Well, my entire damn life, ever since the Watts riots back in the 80s. And she's just been holding it down. And for some reason, she has this reputation like she's the best thing for the city. So
you definitely got a lot of nerve, I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure she does. And I've been down in those areas. I've seen the neighborhood. I know the community that she's representing, like Gardena, Inglewood, Torrance, those areas. So how do you plan on helping the community with it, other than what she's done, supposedly?
Well, that's easy, because she's done absolutely nothing. But what I want to do, my main goal running for Congress, is to bring back quality jobs, so people will have a not only a career, but a career where they have an income, where they can have more money at the end of their month instead of more month at the end of their money. I also want to improve our education system. If you know, California has one of the worst education systems across the United States. I want to rebuild the community, create more economic development within our communities. I want to rebuild the relationship between the law enforcement and the communities. And I also I want to start teaching people how to build generational wealth. You know what I'm saying? I think that's one thing. Financial literacy is one thing that we miss in the Black community heavily. You know what I'm saying? So I want to be able to bring that back so we can thrive just like everyone else.
Absolutely. It's actually pretty refreshing to hear you bring up such a thing, because that's one thing that the Black community ignores altogether, is how to invest into each other to actually make sure that we're prosperous, that we have own our own properties, real estate, schools, banks, libraries, etc. We can reinvest that money into our own community, and unfortunately, the misconception is that that's more difficult said than done. So you definitely seem like the type that's going to follow through with that. And one of the things that I would like to ask you about specifically is Skid Row, because that's part of our district also. And it's known worldwide as being a place that harbors the majority of the homeless in Los Angeles, and happens to produce a lot of violence and drug use, etc. So what is it that you plan to do to clean up Skid Row?
Well, I will say this. Skid Row is not the mega center of homeless within California, not even in the district. You will see under the bridges, in the ditches, there are tons and tons of homeless in the back alleys and places that no one ever looks. There are tons and tons of homeless people. Skid Row is highlighted because it's the most easiest place to get to, where people can say, I went to Skid Row, I did this, I did that. But what we have to do is we have to be able to bring back quality jobs. We have to open up healthcare facilities. That's the start. I know one thing, a lot of people are homeless in California, not because they have some type of mental disorder or drug or alcohol dependency. They're homeless simply because the cost of living out here is ridiculously high. So we cut taxes, we lower the cost of living, so people who work regular jobs can be able to afford housing. Also, ACLU sued the state of California to allow homeless people or people with mental disabilities to be able to check themselves out of mental health facilities. Mm-hmm. That kind of goes against the Constitution. The Constitution says that people who are mentally incapacitated or mentally not capable of making their own decisions cannot make a decision for themselves. So what we have to do is we have to reverse the lawsuit or the judgment that says homeless people can check themselves out. People who have mental disabilities, can check themselves out of mental health facilities prior to the completion of their treatment, so we can get these people off the streets. Our goal is to create a society of active members who are actively participating. And so the only way we can start doing that is having our mental health facilities opened up and creating and bringing back more quality jobs.
Yeah, that would be great, because another issue is the lack of employment available to those people that are living on the streets. They are already in an unfortunate circumstance, but then for them to also, have the opportunity to be gainfully employed makes it extremely difficult. So to provide them with a little bit more leverage to get that to get that going for themselves is definitely going to be more, not only advantageous for them, but for people of the community, taxpayers. We don't have to continue to burden that expense. So it's very good to hear you say that as well. And one of the things that that I did learn about you, and I guess doing a little bit of research into you, is that you did run for president. You were planning on running for president of the United States this year as a Green Party candidate. And like you mentioned, now you're a Republican. So that's a big contrast to go from the Green Party to Republican.
Well, here's the thing. Well, one thing that a lot of people leave out is, when I got out the military, I was a presidential candidate and I had been a Republican. I ran into some issues with the people who were on my campaign team that suggested I try the Green Party because they felt I have a better chance. I've always been a Republican for heart. But the Green Party, the ideals and values of the Green Party does not resonate with who I am. It doesn't resonate with my soul. I'm pro Second Amendment, pro military, I'm pro life. I'm pro freedom, and that's those issues conflict with what the Green Party is all about. And how can I 100% or legitimately support an organization that does not fit or align with the values that I have? So I spent 1 month with the Green Party. But the administration reached out to me and they told me, you're starting to raise money. We feel like, we've gotten you a lot of support. You've learned a lot since you've been a presidential candidate, but now it's time for you to choose a different way, because we're going to give our support to President Trump, because we didn't give it to him whenever he had first started to run. And they also said, think about it if you were in the same situation, if you were running for president, and wouldn't you want everybody in the party to support you if you had already been a sitting president for the first 4 years? And so I agree with that. As a leader's responsibility is to support other leaders, regardless if you agree with them or not. If you agree with them, you ride with them. If you don't agree with them, you push that leader into the position that they need to be in order to make them a more effective leader. And so me being a leader 13 and a half years in the military, is my duty and my obligation to support the president of the United States, which is, Donald Trump, and to do my best to guide him in a position where he can be a more effective leader. And those are the type of leaders that we need more of here in the United States. Leaders who are willing to step up and be leaders behind the leader. And, I decided to run for Congress, and I've been supported on this journey, been supported on this mission, and it's been a blessing to be a blessing to others.
Absolutely. And so you basically are taking on the role of a Republican, as in a supportive role to aid the president and, I guess, making America great again.
I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative, taking on the role as a leader to support the leader who we currently have.
All right. Even better. Because, I mean, I don't support the president. I mean, I can vote for him, and I support him in any capacity, just like any other president.
Let me say this. Let me say this, because I'm glad you brought that point up. Supporting a person, and a lot of people get this misconstrued. Supporting the person does not mean you 100% hardcore, dead to right to agree with everything that person does. Supporting a person means that you will do what you can to make sure that person's interests align with the best interests of the country. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to support everything that your leader does. Right. And I'm gonna give you an example. I think that we have a legitimately strong, president. Right. What I don't agree with is the social media, how he attacks people on social media. I think for a leader, that's petty. There should be no leader that has to flex on everybody to prove that he is a leader. What I do like about the president is the policy. Right. Being tough on China, being tough on foreign policy, actually having a legitimate agenda to bring back up the Black community, which is, fully permanently funding HBCUs, the opportunity zones, which directly affect inner cities that have been decimated by Democratic policies, criminal justice reform that directly benefits Black and brown people who are unjustly victims of the criminal justice system. You know what I'm saying? Creating an opportunity for Black and brown and Asian people to be able to experience a level of employment unlike no other. You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that I support. So when I say I support the president, when in the military, they teach us it doesn't matter if he's a Republican or a Democrat or Libertarian or a Green Party or whatever. You support the president because you have a duty and obligation as a leader to support your leader. Now, what I will say is, as a representative, especially a brand new representative, we don't have to necessarily agree with everything that this person does, but let's take the good things that he's doing and use it to benefit our communities.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It's definitely the most positive aspects that we need to be focusing on the most. I mean, everybody's going to have their flaws, and not every leader is going to make everybody happy. I'm pretty sure that when you get elected, that you're not going to be making all of your constituents happy. But
listen, they're already pissed off. They're already pissed off. Black Republican running against Maxine Waters. Come on, how much more of an oxymoron do you have to be?
You're right about that. Yeah, you already got an uphill battle, brother, in many different ways.
But you know what they say, and I'm pretty sure you heard this as a libertarian. The first step in accepting the truth is anger. right? So you give people the truth whether they like it or not. Let them get mad, give them time to cope with it, and then show them the path that they need to be on in order to enjoy the freedom and liberty that they deserve.
Exactly. Especially when they're seeking that from a representative, you have to give them the good with the bad. And
Absolutely.
you don't want to sell them false hope. You want to give them the truth straight up. And unfortunately, sometimes that comes with a little bit of doubt. And you have to let them know, hey, you're going to have shortcomings and it's going to happen. But the main focus here is just to make sure that we're achieving our ultimate goal. And that's to make sure that we're even more successful in becoming free people. That's what we're all looking for in many dynamics. And speaking of having your, it cut out for you, you have been vocal in protesting against these coronavirus lockdowns here in the state of California. I mean, I personally have met you at 2 of those protests, and I even caught slack, of course, just being a Black person being there. But you being a Black Republican, I'm pretty sure you caught even more shade for that. So do you actually support the lockdown? And if so, why?
No, I don't support the lockdown at all. The reason why, and I don't get slack for being a Black Republican protesting for the lockdown. I have a lot of people tell me their, how they feel like I should stay at home and everything. But when you look at a community such as South LA, or when you look at communities that have small businesses, people use these small businesses to take care of their family as if a person who has a 9-to-5 uses their job to take care of their families. So when you tell a person who has a small business and they're relying on the small business to feed not only their family, but the people they employ's family, when you have a community full of senior citizens who cannot work, but they're living on Social Security and they have to take care of themselves, when you have a state like California where you have an abundance of homeless people everywhere who can't take care of themselves, you have to make that determination and just the moral obligation within yourself to say, okay, what is the chances of me catching coronavirus? And then compare that. What is the chances of me dying from coronavirus? What is the recovery rate from coronavirus? You take those things into consideration and then you use those to fight. And so one thing that I had to figure out was, okay, so what is the chances of me catching coronavirus? And I figured the chances, doing the math, 11 million people living in Los Angeles County, 12,000 people died, and another 100,000 people who've been tested. So that tells me the contraction rate is 0.003. The death rate is very low. The recovery rate is 99.8%. So when I take those things into consideration and I think about the damage that's been done to our communities based off the shutdown, people can't take care of their families, they can't take care of themselves. We have low income, we have homeless. I know I'm a pretty healthy person. I know I'm in excellent health. So I am willing to go out there and risk catching coronavirus to fight for the ability for my community to be taken care of. And I think every person should do these risk mitigation things or risk assessments and determine if they're healthy enough to go out and fight. And if you are, you absolutely need to be fighting for your community.
Yeah, and it's sad that a lot of people have given that responsibility solely to government to decide for them, or should I say the mainstream media, the fake news, to tell them what to do and when it's safe to go outside. I mean, people literally act like if you go outside, you're going to die. You're going to breathe in the air and you're going to fall out dead.
The crazy part about it is you have a government that has been proven on a consistent basis to lie to you. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to trust this. And we have a government that is $22 trillion in debt. You're trusting a government that is not a million, not 100,000, $22 trillion in debt. You trust in this government who has proven to be inefficient with balancing the budget, inefficient with spending to take care of you. It's kind of ridiculous to me, Yeah. And to be honest with you, they lie to you on a regular basis. The government that lies to you, you're trusting them to be honest with you, like you said, with an opinion of mainstream media who are a bunch of journalists. They don't have a degree in science, no degree in medicine, no degree in accounting. They have a degree in journalism. They are degreed in reporting stuff. My daughter can be a journalist. You know what I'm saying? She can go tell me. My daughter tells me whatever in the world, and if she says it more convincingly enough, I might almost believe it had I not been an adult.
Right, exactly. Hey, and these people are paid,
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but to lie to us sometimes.
A lot of money.
Exactly. And it is a matter of getting back to the basics of knowing what the truth is, discerning how to manage your own life for yourself.
Absolutely.
Learning the facts. I mean, like you said, it's 0.00%. Anything 0.00%, you have a 99% recovery rate. You have nothing to be worried about. And then if they're relating it to the flu or the cold, but then also promoting a vaccination, that should be worrisome for most people, you know?
But let me tell you this, things that kill people more than COVID-19, gang violence, gun violence, domestic violence, suicide, alcohol-related incidents, pre-existing conditions, war, automobile-related accidents. You have a whole bunch of things that are killing people more than COVID-19, and nobody ever blinks an eye. Nobody ever thinks, maybe we need to shut the state down so we can handle domestic violence. Mm-hmm. Maybe we need to shut the state down so we can handle gun violence. Nobody ever does it. But then, the virus comes around. It has a potential to kill this amount of people. I'm telling you, you have a better chance of walking outside and getting hit by a bus on a sidewalk than you do of dying from COVID-19. Fortunately, that's the stats. Those are facts.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's sad again that we always took that risk into consideration before this coronavirus pandemic, came along. But now all of a sudden people are let fear dictate their decisions on how to, again, live their lives. Absolutely. So it's sad to see this happening. And now one thing that I want to say to you is, you did kind of pop up out of nowhere to me.
Yeah.
You did explode on the scene, which is great. But at the same time, it makes me question, who's backing you, all that stuff. Yeah, where's the money coming from, man? So I want to ask you about money in politics, because that seems to be something, a big issue that a lot of people think is poison. Our electoral system and our choice when it comes to representatives. So what would you do about money in politics?
I'll tell you this. I didn't necessarily pop out of nowhere. The first team I had, whenever we started running for office, they didn't do their due diligence and making sure that we had a lot of attention from mainstream media and doing their outreach on social media and letting people know, via email that, look, I'm your guy. And so we were able to raise a lot of money, not by organizations, not by PACs. I didn't get any money from, the Trump family, or I didn't get any, large money from the Republican Party. I didn't get any money from the Republican Party. We were able to expand our reach and then, let people know, like, hey, I'm running for Maxine. I'm running for Congress against Maxine Waters. This is what I'm doing. This is what I want to do. I need your support so we can beat her. And as we were able to bring in donations from people, in California, from people across the United States, we were able to take that money and reinvest it into the campaign and grow our campaign and make it bigger. Utilize our social media more efficiently, be able to have the opportunity to get media time, purchase media time and advertising, and, and being able to connect with very good people like yourself and people like We Have Rights organizations and the Freedom Angels and different organizations who are looking to do something good. When we band together and we help each other, it's better for everyone. Everybody feels like, Maxine Waters has been an ineffective leader for a very long time. So now when you have a quality candidate, military experience, from the neighborhood, Black young man, has a lot of ideas, want to see our district progress. Those are things that people can get behind. And when people get behind you, you become a force to reckon with. So that's how we were able to not necessarily pop up on the scene, but expand our reach to a more visible approach.
Absolutely. I mean, I seen the video of you where you were out at a protest and the cops ran up on the scene trying to tell you, you need to get out of here because it's a residential neighborhood and you too loud. But you stood your ground, and you let them.
Like I said, the people.
I need a ticket, but I'm going to exercise my freedom of speech.
Yeah. It was the people. Had I not had the support from the people, I probably would be in jail. but the people supported me. You know what I'm saying? So when people get behind you, like I said, when the people support you, I mean, you're strong. You know your rights, know what you can and can't do, be respectful at the same time to the law enforcement, but definitely, like you said, stand your ground and allow the people to get behind you, allow the people to fight your battle as you lead them.
Right, exactly. You hear that, everybody? You hear what this man said? You gotta come together to make it a force that can't be reckoned with.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You can have your figurehead, but you gotta be the body, that supportive body that's needed in order to truly, you know, fight against this system here that we're trying to overcome. So one thing that you did talk about is that you're ex-military, and being ex-military, the one thing that comes to mind is that you're pro-authoritarian, you know, and with you being a Black person, I can think about, you know, a situation where there's a Black man shot by the cops in Los Angeles, like, you know, George Floyd, what happened out in Minneapolis. Those protests have now stemmed all the way to Los Angeles. You got people in Los Angeles protesting against it because the LAPD is notoriously known for, you know, abusing people of color and harassing them and killing them, etc. So as a congressional member, what would you do about rogue cops in LA?
Well, I'll tell you this, being a U.S. Navy veteran, 13 and a half years, the term for us would not be authoritarian. It will be pro-leadership and pro-action. Authoritarianism would be more of a word that's used as a derivative for someone who gets punch drunk on power, and they feel like they have to have the ultimate power. I'm pro-leadership, and I am pro-action. One thing that I would do, and that should have been done from the get-go, is in the military we have this thing where quarterly you have to have training, because we all know that things change over time. So how things was 5 years is not the same now. The dynamics have changed. 20 years is not the same now. The dynamics has changed. So what we have to do, and I've spoken about this before with the different police departments and sheriff's departments that has endorsed me, is we have to be able to move with the times. You know what I'm saying? We have to be able to allow the officers to get the training that they need to be able to combat issues like we have all the time. And I was on Hannity's show earlier today, and he asked me about it, and I said, you know what? It's shameful what the police officers did to that man. And I think that the use of excessive force has always been prevalent in Black communities. My question was, when does our so-called Black leaders stand up to fight for the rights that we have? You know what I'm saying? The rights that we're supposed to have. And instead of sitting there and pressuring the fact that you're always killing Black people, you're always killing Black people, like Maxine Waters. She went on the air today and said that cop was looking for a Black person to kill. And she said everybody in that police agency conspired with this cop to look for a Black person to kill. I think that's utterly ridiculous, because I served in the military in Iraq. Not one day did I think, you know what, I'm going to kill me an Arab. I'm going to kill me an Iraqi. We never thought that. We always thought, what can I do to make the most peaceful day to get back home? Now, I do believe that there is negligence with this police officer and his use of aggressive force. These are things that happen in the Black community on a regular basis. What the leadership has to do is we have to disavow people like Joe Biden, who wrote the '94 crime bill that gives the police the authority to attack people of color in our communities. We have to be able to disavow people who supported Joe Biden when he created these laws. And it's more than one: the redlining laws, the war on crime, the war on drugs, the '94 crime bill. All of these things are used to directly target and impact Black people. Not one time have I seen a congressional Black caucus stand up and say, you know what, I think this bill creates too much friction in the Black community, too much targeting. We are putting Black people in a prison pipeline. We need to get rid of this. Not one time have I said that. Have I heard anybody say that? Not one time has the NAACP stepped up and fought to remove these bills that target people of color and disproportionately creates a vacuum into the prison pipeline. Not one time has I heard any civil rights leader say anything about these bills that have been created by people like Joe Biden, supported by people like Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, and Adam Schiff, and all these other ridiculous politicians, whether they're Black or white, Democratic or Republican, that created to target us. I've never heard not one person say that. So the first thing that I would do when I would get into Congress I will fight to repeal and dismantle every single bill that was created to disproportionately affect people of color.
Wow, that's an incredible feat, and that would definitely reverse a lot of the wrong that has been done to the
Absolutely.
people of color in the community. And when I talk about authoritarian, I'm talking about the general perception of our government. Like you said, it's grown out of control, and
Mm.
the belief of leadership and integrity and honor seems to be very far removed, especially when you see situations like the killing of, George Floyd,
Yeah.
uh, Ahmaud Arbery, who was a former police officer, but Breonna Taylor, who was shot by police officers, outside of her home. Stephen Taylor, who was a mentally disturbed man who was wielding a bat at a Walmart and was shot and killed, back in April. So we see these killings happening all of the time. And when it comes to disciplinary action towards those police officers and accountability, we see very little. So that's more so expected from our representatives, such as yourself, like you said, to actually use that pulpit to disavow and speak out against these actions and about how they not only affect people of color,
Mhm.
but the actual idea of freedom, liberty, and justice for all.
Well, let's check out the background of the people who are in office right now, right? With Maxine Waters has never held a job, never served in the military, knows absolutely nothing about our country, knows absolutely nothing about the Constitution, knows absolutely nothing about fighting for the people. You look at people like AOC, a freaking bartender, Ilhan Ilmar, what is she, a refugee? These people know absolutely nothing about government. Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff. These are people who went from high school, college, became attorneys. Now they feel like they know how to legislate, right? And so when you look at these people's track records, this starts to show the type of people who would approve of an authoritarianism type of lifestyle. And these are people who have never been in a position of authority, people who have never took a position of leadership, people who have never had to fight for what they believe in or even fight for their own country. We're talking about people who know jack shit about the Constitution. People don't know anything about America. People don't know anything about the way the government's supposed to be ran. People who have had their whole entire life spoon fed to them. Aside from Ilhan Omar and the other bra from New York City, this is a refugee. She's not even an American citizen. How can she tell anybody about American life? You have a bartender. She went to college for some BS degree, and she couldn't make it in a corporate world with the degree that she has, so she became a bartender. She's good at already talking to people, so all she has to do is convince people that everything that she's saying is true, but she gets in office and she make an ass of herself. You know what I'm saying? She knows nothing about the Constitution. She knows nothing about government. She knows nothing about fighting for freedom. And then when you turn around and you look at people like Dan Crenshaw, he served in the military, U.S. Navy SEAL, and you look at people who have served their country in the military who has been in office. One thing that differs from these people who have been in the military and serving for office and people who just felt the bright idea, like maybe I can convince enough people that I'll fight for you and not know jack shit, is the people who have been in the military understand what freedom is. They fought for it. They put their life on the line for it. They have already took an oath of office to defend this for the people of the United States. Yeah, people like Ilhan Omar, who's been given a life. Ilhan Omar was a refugee from Somalia. She would have been raped, tortured, and killed in Somalia had she not been here in the United States. So the fact that she can come here and shit on American culture, it bewilders me. But then get in Congress and think that same rule can still apply. People like the girl we were just talking about from New York's AOC, right? She was a bartender. She only thing she knows how to do is hustle. She knows absolutely nothing about the way America works, and so she gets into Congress and she thinks that everything is supposed to be handed to you. You know what I'm saying? You look at Maxine Waters. The only other job that she ever had was like a telemarketer before she got involved in politics 32 years ago. She knows absolutely nothing about America. She knows absolutely nothing about fighting for freedom. So these things make a stark distinction between the type of politicians that we have in office and the politicians that we need in office. So when we talk about authoritarianism, are we talking about people who fight for freedom? When we talk about even young people getting up in office, what we need is young leaders who have already had to fight for what we believe in. We have already had to put our life on the line, and we know what it's like to work hard to provide for your family. Those are the type of people with common sense that we need to be getting into these office positions.
I would agree with you there. I wouldn't say that every person that takes on that leadership role needs to be of the military, though. I mean,
No,
even though,
absolutely not. They need to know how to fight for what they believe in,
right.
not fight because they want something free.
Absolutely. I mean, it seems like they all tend to go into politics for some bit of a personal gain and their own interest. And it's unfortunate that we see them, not uphold their oath to defend the United States Constitution against all threats, foreign and domestic. We have
But they
those.
would have to know the Constitution to be able to uphold that, and that's one thing they've proven not to know.
Yeah, that's true. And one thing that I would like to say is about this whole George Floyd shooting is the perception that race is involved. Black people get shamed for, I guess, whenever these shootings happen, to say we're race baiting, we're making it about race, and Black people make everything about race. Do you think that all Black people are race baiters? And with this situation in particular, do you feel like race played a role in him abusing his authority?
I don't feel like this had anything to do with race. And I even heard Maxine Waters say today that this cop, and I think I said it earlier, this cop and his partners were looking for a Black person to kill. I don't think this had anything to do with race. I think that, he was targeted for whatever he was targeted for, whether it was fraudulent checks or drinking and driving or driving under influence or whatever the case may be. But I think this was pure negligence on the officer's point of view. The officer did 100%, kill this guy. When you put your neck intentionally on a person's neck to hold them down after you have them in cuffs, you killed that man. But I don't think that he was looking to kill somebody that day, because to kill somebody, you take a lot up on your conscience. You know what I'm saying? But I do believe that it was a lot of negligence. It was a lot of miscommunication. It was a lot of just plain ignorance on the role of the police department. And they definitely should take action and definitely get this man the proper treatment that he deserved. But to go as far to say it was because of race, I think you can miss me with that one. I can't buy into that one.
Well, the reason why I would say race played into it is because he was a white man that felt like, if I do this to a Black man, nothing's going to happen to me, which time and time has proven, most likely this officer is going to get off the hook. Matter of fact, the attorney that's defending him is actually an attorney who got off a police officer that was involved in the Philando Castile shooting, who was a Black man driving his car. A CCW carrier had a weapon and let the officer know, I have a gun, and the cop shot him with his girlfriend and his baby in the car. So he could have killed two other innocent people, with his response to that. The cop got off because of this defense, the defense lawyer who is now going to be representing this officer. So
the cop got off because of poor leadership in these states. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at the leadership in these states, what are one thing that every single inner city, every single state that people are being targeted by cops, aside for the Trayvon Martin case, one thing that every single state has in common is they have poor democratic leaders. That's one thing that they have. And poor democratic leaders will not take action against the police force. They would not force the police force to do more training. They would not get rid of bad apples in the police force. So that's one thing that the police force has in common. And another thing is, for an attorney to be able to get off a cop who clearly, in the Philando Castile case, clearly murdered this guy by opening up all those rounds to that car, that attorney, he has to live with that for the rest of his life. And I hope that, I'm a Christian, so I hope that he gets what he deserves by God, you know what I'm saying, in the long run. But I don't see that happening with this case right here with this guy. I can understand with the Philando Castile case, they made the argument, well, we didn't know if he had the gun with him, he could have shot us, yada, yada, yada. And they, inadvertently pulled the trigger. But that's what happens to Black people in our cities on a regular basis. And I think one thing as a leader that we have to do is we have to start addressing the problem before it gets to the police department. If we start addressing the problem at the level of the governor, the secretary of state, the city mayors, the city commissioner, our city council members, our assembly members, our congressional members, and then we get to the sheriff's department, highway patrol, and police officers, I think these are things that we can 100% mitigate before it even gets to a point where you have a police officer killing a person. You know what I'm saying? And we have to start implementing more community policing to where we can have the police to be held accountable, not only by the police, but we can have the police departments held accountable by the constituents and the community by creating these clubs or these forums where you have an oversight committee of civilians to monitor what the police department, the sheriff's department, the city managers, the city council members are doing. And that's one thing that our leadership have failed to do, and that's oversight. And that's not even with just the police department, but every level of government lacks oversight. And I think that we need to start bringing back in that oversight and having these people held accountable before we even get to the point of police killing each other. Because if you can blame the cop for killing this man, then you're only putting a Band-Aid over the wound. You're not fixing the actual problem. The actual problem is the mayor. The mayor is a problem. The city council member is a problem. The city commissioner is a problem. The city supervisor is a problem. The assembly person is a problem. The state senate is a problem. The congressional members is a problem. The governor is a problem. All these contribute to what is happening in these individual cities and in these individual states. And so we can't just 100% blame the police department and expect that's going to change anything. We have to be able to organize. We have to make our vote heard, and we have to be able to hold these cities officials accountable for what the police department is doing, because guess who pays these people?
Right.
City officials. So if you're not holding that paycheck, that person who's cutting that check responsible, regardless of how many cops you throw in jail, regardless of how many cops shoot people, regardless of how many cops you persecute, the problem is still a checkbook. The person holding that checkbook, and those are the legislators.
You're right about that. I mean, that's one of the things that I tell people all the time is if you want to stop all of these police shootings, if you want to stop corrupt government officials, all of the abuses of authority, cut their paycheck. You're exactly the taxpayer. You're the one paying for this bad behavior. And it has to stop with you. You have to be the one to, I guess, draw that line in the sand and say no more. And when you talk about it boiling down to leadership, I couldn't agree with you more. And it's unfortunate that we do see some of these leaders that do play into these situations actually get advanced and propel further in their career. For instance, Amy Klobuchar, she was a district attorney in that same state of Minnesota, and she was the district attorney who actually did not prosecute this cop that killed George Floyd when he had assaulted a Native American man in that state. So had she actually took responsibility and done her job as district attorney, you know, we probably wouldn't be dealing with the killing of George Floyd today. So you're right about leadership and them taking it upon themselves to actually make sure that these people are held accountable. So I do appreciate you answering that. And like all of my guests here, Joe, I'll tell you, I ask them questions. None of them know what the hell I'm going to ask. So I appreciate you being such a good sport, my man. And all the people out there, I hope you enjoyed the show. I do have a quick question for you before we go. Since Black people are perceived to be great dancers and, you know, all of this other stuff, do you actually know how to dance?
I'm going to tell you this. Those rumors about Black people knowing how to dance and being excellent dancers are absolutely true. And I do know how to dance. Look, I can Dougie with the best of them and all the other stuff. Yeah. I actually like to dance, to be honest with you. I dance, I sing, I do everything. I'm a human just like everybody else. I have emotions, I have feelings, and I have my different thoughts and opinions on things. And, you know, I don't judge people for how they feel about certain issues. But I can definitely dance. I can dance like nobody's business.
That's cool. Hey, don't challenge this brother to a dance song because he might embarrass you. I, on the other hand, you know what I'm saying? I will prove that stereotype wrong because I got a two-step and that's about it. I'm too damn tall to dance, you know? But Joe, I do appreciate you again coming to the Black Side of Liberty and expressing all of your different point of views regarding the questions that I've asked and being completely honest in doing so, because not many people are honest, you know, just answering questions straight up. So thank you very much for joining me here today.
Oh yeah, for sure. I ain't got nothing to lose, so I don't have a problem with being honest. So, you know.
Absolutely. Well, you got plenty to gain. I mean, like I said, you kind of just exploded on the scene. To me, I've
Yes.
just learned about you over the past few weeks, and
Nice.
within that short time, I've met you twice. So, to me, I take that as a great sign, as a great blessing that many things are to come. And like I told you before, anything that I can do to help you get rid of Maxine Waters, I would be happy to, brother, because I feel like she sucks. She's proven herself to be incapable of serving we the people. And I hope all of you out there are watching agree with me. And if you live in Los Angeles, District 43, right? Yeah. Please vote for my man right here, Joe Collins, okay? Because he is running against Maxine Waters and in November. So November 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever the date is. Please, election day, vote for Joe Collins, okay? Thank you again, Joe, for being here on the Black Side Liberty, brother.
All right, God bless.
And God bless you. Take it easy. And to all of you out there, thank you so much again for tuning in to the Black Side of Liberty. Please be sure to come back next week, Tuesday. I'll be talking to Libertarian presidential candidate Serene Adelanu. I said her name right this time, I believe. And this time, for real, I'm going to have her on the show. I know she was supposed to be on Tuesday, and unfortunately, there was a situation with me traveling where, unfortunately, I wasn't able to have her on. But she will be here Tuesday, so please come back to the Black Side of Liberty. All my beings of light, art, culture, and knowledge out there, may the light of God and liberty shine on each and every one of you. Peace.